Hey fellas, your commissioner here, as well as Erica and Loki, coming at you for a little week five of NFL action. Can't believe it.
Look at how long he is.
He's a big boy.
Look at his tail.
It's like a feather duster. He's just chilling, just looking around. He's looking at me. Hey, what's that? Oh, now Brody's jealous. So, all right. Anyway, yeah, we're a quarter of the way through. I guess whenever it's a 16-week season, we're a quarter of the way through. But because we have 14 regular season games, so a little over a quarter of the way through the season already. Can't believe it. Just time flies whenever you're having fun. I mean, we're kind of getting into a groove here. Things are starting to take shape. You got a good month's worth of games for sample size for players. See who's doing good, who's doing bad, who you can cut, who you've been holding on to. Still got 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks for all those players that you drafted to be able to have maintain their keeper eligibility. They must be on your roster this week. They must be on your roster next week. Okay. After that, feel free to cut ties with them, and you can still keep them as long, Connor, listen to this, as long as they play a regular season snap. Only has to be one, but if they don't play during the regular season, they do not maintain any keeper eligibility. Okay? So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into a recap of last week's. The Hogs, of course, lost, dog shit, whatever it was. What was the score? I turned it off. I didn't watch the whole second half. I don't need that type of negativity in my life, so I choose to cut that out whenever I can. And yeah, we lost 34-22. Very much of a precursor as we go into the recap of our Sour Warhead game of the week between the father figures and our horse-ass dog shit, throw up all over themselves, piss their pants, wake up in an emergency room looking like that. There it is, yeah, looking like that. Team of the week, the lowest scoring matchup of the week. Not even close. Ford wins 90-69. Nice. That's the only saving grace of this abysmal dog shit performance that my team put up this week, or last week rather. I hate. I tell you guys all the time. I can't stand when a team scores under 100 points and wins a game, and I hate it even more whenever I'm the team who allowed that to happen, and it makes me sick to my stomach. It makes me want to commit seppuku, and I don't like it. Ford, whatever, great win for him to get to 2-2. My team, let's just go down it, right? Tua, they got their back blown out by the Bills, right? Only 17 points. He did have a touchdown taken away from him on a bullshit ineligible man downfield penalty. Whatever. It wouldn't have won me the game. Tyreek probably had his worst game of the year. James Conner had his worst game of the year. Madison was just mediocre. Tutu had his worst game of the year. Tank Dell had his worst game of the year. Sam Laporta was just whatever. TJ Hawkinson has his worst game of the year. It was just a perfect storm. It was a perfect storm of bullshit that my team put out last week. That's what it was, And the only solace that I took in that is that they all did it together, right? They all banded together and had their little team group text and said, "Hey, let's stick it to the old commish, all right? Let's stick it to him this week." It's a big win. He could go 3-1 and be looking like he's the number one scoring team in the league and looking like he's back, right? He's back. No, not so fast, my friend, right? I mean, and you look at the bench, it wasn't much better. Javonte, 4 points. Cam Akers, 7 points. Gainwell 5, Shaheed 6, Wandale 9. I mean, Dobbs is the only one who gave a damn this week. He scored 18 points on my bench. This is now I've benched him 3 times. He has over 16 points, at least 16 points in each of the 3 games that I've benched him. The one game I played him, he has 5 points. Guess what? I'm going to play him this week. Guess how many points he's going to get? Probably 3, right? So, and yeah, I mean, you look at Ford. I mean, Bijan had a great start for him in London. Oh, hey, cheerio, chaps. We got another London game for you on the telly. Oh, yeah, I almost forgot, didn't I? Hey, wouldn't that be a proper shame? If it's Australian, it's Irish. Oh, gosh, I'm all over the place here. Expect anything different? So, yeah, Bijan Robinson, he had a very nice day there on the soccer pitch across the pond there in Wembley Stadium. He probably had himself a nice crumpets and tea afterwards, I guess. I'm now getting the German in there. Oh, boy. So, more to come with I wasn't mentally prepared. I feel like I used to do a good British accent. I don't know what's happened. It's just lost. I've lost it. By George, I think he's lost it. Harry Potter. It's just, I don't know. It's gone. So, anyways, Jordan Love, fine game, 20 points. Bijan's a beast. Kenneth Walker, not a great game, still 14 points. Hollywood had a pretty good game for him as well, but honestly, pretty dog shit from the rest of his team as well. I mean, 4 points, 5 points, 8 points, 2 points. I mean, just pretty shit. But hey, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Ford won, and we'll see if maybe this trade spurred some movement, or this bullshit performance spurred maybe some action for the horse ass team to try to maybe ignite a little spark. So anyway, moving on here. What many thought 2 3-0 teams was going to be the game of the week. It was not. Good game, a solid game from D Shade, but a blowout nonetheless. Suave Olave wins 142 to 110, just rounding up there for being a nice guy. 4-0, Savoy's 4-0, only undefeated team in the league as it stands, because we'll get to our other previously undefeated team here in a second. And it's been a rough couple weeks for D Shade. He lost Mike Williams, and well, I guess I take that back. He won. He put up 120, and I guess I'm lying to you. I mean, it was a tough week 2 weeks ago because he did lose Mike Williams. But, this week, Addison put up a gooser. He's got he's resorted to having to start Tyler Boyd. Kelsey just had a so-so game. Ridley caught that touchdown. But, I mean, you take away McCaffrey's almost 50-point performance, a historic performance. And I mean, this team's down there 70-point range, 70-point range, and just absolutely gets embarrassed in one of the biggest games so far this season. So I mean, credit to McCaffrey for saving D-Shade's pride and dignity, because this was almost an ass whooping. I mean, it's teetering. I mean, even with McCaffrey, it was still a 30-point beatdown. And if McCaffrey just has a normal game, 30 points less, I mean, we're talking about a 70-point just shit popping. You know what I mean? So, and for Savoy, I mean, great. That trade looks like it's worked wonders for his team, getting Herbert. 26 points from him. Mark Andrews, 25 points. Nico Collins, breakout game, 36 points. He puts up 142, Savoy does, and he had his 2 running backs didn't even combine for double digits. And then his other wide receiver, Chris Olave, only had 1.5 points. the big free agent acquisition from last week, Palmer, had a decent game, 10 points. That's kind of what he is, right? But yeah, I mean, and McLaurin on the bench, 22 points. CJ Stroud is looking great, 27 points on the bench. I mean, he's got legit 2 studs there at quarterback. And, after Herbert comes off the bye after this week, I think he'd be foolish to not try to flip Stroud to one of the several quarterback needy teams in the league. So, just keep an eye on that. Put that away in the tickler file, right? So, anyway, yeah, congrats to Savoy, 4-0, great start, really hot start, maybe the best start to a season he's had in league history. I'll have to fact check that, but Savoy 4-0, only undefeated team, yeah, yeah. So that's right. So you always. So like I say, Savoy, no matter how much we shit on your team or I shit on your team, you've always got a fan in Erica. So take solace in that. Anyway, moving on here. Cataclysmic Catches extend their winning streak to 2 games. 108-74 over the McCockerners, who have now lost 2 in a row. Another just not great performance from JD, 74 points. Kirk Cousins came crashing back down to reality. Only 12 points, his worst game of the season thus far. Miles Sanders, Rashad White, Lamb, okay. T. Higgins, hurt, maybe. Said he looked like he was going to be out for a couple weeks, and now he said, well, no, I'll be fine. He's a milk carton player, if you know what that means. He's a milk carton player. Jerry Jeudy, whatever, that offense, who knows? Hunter Henry, Ford came back down to reality as well. But, he doesn't play DJ Moore, and DJ Moore continues to stay hot. I mean, 27 points, his best game of the season. I mean, he's had 16, 13, and now 27. I think he'll be hard-pressed to keep him out of the lineup going forward. Didn't start Dameon Pierce. I mean, it's crazy. These are guys when you draft them, or I think he might have kept Pierce. I think he drafted Pierce. Joe Burrow, Joe Cool, which was the right decision because Joe did even worse than Kirk Cousins. But I mean, there's 3 guys here that you drafted with the expectation to start, and not being able to start those guys. That's tough. That's tough to overcome. It's very tough to overcome. He didn't start Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is staying hot. I mean, he's had a touchdown in each of the last 3 games. So whenever you play him now, the touchdown streak's going to be over. But yeah, I mean, just not a lot to get excited for. Again, it's not a bad team, really. I mean, it's got good pieces, got good players. They're just not performing, right? They're just not performing. And I don't want to overshadow Wilson's win here. Not a great game from Mahomes, one of his worst. But Swift has just continued to just be a monster this season. Another week in 18 points this week, just a workhorse. It makes no sense how he wasn't used at all in week 1. Gainwell gets hurt, and now it's just the Swift show. It's nuts. Khalil had a great game. Devontae, solid. Hopkins was okay. Thielen was solid. I mean, his 3 wide receivers combined for 40 points. I mean, that's serviceable. That's definitely serviceable. Ingram had a good game as well, 12 points. I mean, he's been Mr. Consistent this season. I mean, he's basically had 10 points, 10 to 14 points every single week. They got 0 out of Parham, but, that's to be expected, right? So his flex was a little concerning, right? And could Herbert keep that up? He's been a little bit inconsistent so far this season. But, we'll see. Maybe he makes some moves to shore that up, right? So, anyway, Wilson's 2-2. J.D. Falston 1-3, lost 2 in a row. Let me pull some stats. Let me pull some stats here, just as a reminder. Where did I save that? Bear with me. Um, is it season streaks? I don't think so. Oh, gosh.
What's up?
Is it in the Hall of Records?
What's in the Hall of Records?
The stats that I'm looking for. No, here it is. Here it is in the Hall of Records. So this has not been updated yet from to account for last season. But teams that start 1-3 have made the playoffs just 19% of the time, right? Conversely, teams that start 3-1 go on to make the playoffs 61% of the time. Again, this is not counting for last season. Versus let's extrapolate that. Well, we'll extrapolate that out whenever we do the preview. But it's huge. I mean, you go 2-2. I don't think I did those stats, so I can't tell you, but it's probably somewhere in between 20 and 60%. So let's say 40%, right? So I mean, you're looking at a 20% cut from going 2-2 to 1-3, and those percentages add up over time. Anyway, moving on here. Candy Field of Love versus Razorback Revival. 0-4 Rip falls to. Another week under 100 points. Nick, great game. His best game of the season, if I'm not mistaken. 132 points. Loss. Yes, 132 points. He finally has a team not score over 100 points against him. A long time coming for him.
Did he do over 100?
He did. He had a great game, 132 points to get to 1-3. So still an uphill battle for Sir Nicholas. But, you go 0-4, and see, this is where the stats haven't been updated yet. Prior to last season, teams that go 0-4 were 0-6. They never made the playoffs. A team that started 0-4 has never made the playoffs until last year. Duncan Bulch. So 1 out of 7. I'm just going to go ahead and update that one right now because I know it. That's actually 15%, right? 15% of the time. So it's even higher percentage than teams who start 0-3. Surprisingly, it just goes to show. I mean, 12 times a team started 0-3, according to before last season, and 7 of those went on to go 0-4. So that's quite eye-opening. So really, it's 13, right? Well, see, this is where I lose track of shit. So I'm not going to update stuff yet, but. Anyways, it's just not a lot to get excited for with Rip's team, right? Can you feel the love? Debo didn't have a catch, only 0.6 points. Goddard has just looked abysmal. I mean, that Eagles offense this year has basically just been running the ball. That's it. AJ's had some good games. Devontae's had some good games. But, yeah, I mean, Goddard it looks like a lost cause out there. He throws in Gallup. Gallup's actually been on a little bit of a heater these last 2 weeks. Devontae, not a sexy game, but still 15 points. Godwin had his best game of the year. The running back room is definitely where we have some concern without Saquon. He throws in Roschon Johnson, only 2.5 points. Breece Hall's not looked great, only 9.9 points. But Hurts is still a monster, right? I mean, he's had 28, 25, 29 points each of the last 3 games. Looks like he's back on track after a little bit of shaky start to the season, week 1. But his bench here, it's just, like I said, he'll get Saquon back. That'll be a big help. I mean, Saquon, Godwin, Devontae, Debo, Jalen Hurts, Breece Hall, these guys will win you games, Rip. I mean, you're not going to go 0-14. You're not, And sometimes it's maybe even better to be the worst team because, teams will trade you a lot of assets to try to get maybe your 1 or 2 studs that you have. And, that's how you end up maybe with the worst record, but you end up with a pretty decent team come horse-ass time, right? And that's kind of what happened with JD last year. So I don't think he made trades, but he was 4-10 and didn't win horse-ass. So, But yeah, and then Nick, I mean, Anthony Richardson, looking like it's paying off, sending away Herbert. I mean, he's a beast when he plays. I mean, that running element is just huge. He's had at least one rushing touchdown in every single game he's played this year. I mean, he barely played in week 2, and he still got 18 points. I mean, he played for like 2 drives, and he got 18 points. So, yeah, I mean, he looks legit early. We'll see if the league adapts to him later on in the season, but he's looking pretty good so far. Montgomery, of course, Thursday night, 3 tutties, huge. His best game he's going to have all year. It's just the type of running back that Dan Campbell likes, right? Just a no-nonsense runner, gritty, not maybe the most talented guy, but just going to hit the hole and every time and get the job done. And with the Lions' offensive line, that's going to result in a lot of success if he's getting the workload that he's getting, which he is. So, free Gibbs, right? Hashtag free Gibbs. ETN, not a great game. His wide receiver room is still leaves a lot to be desired. Derrick Henry looks like maybe he's back, 25 points. But Gary Wilson, 15 points. Waddle's just not looked fantastic so far this year. I mean, he had, a couple 12-point games, which is fine, especially for your wide receiver too. And then he was hurt last week, or 2 weeks ago. But the Kyle Pitts experiment, garbage, Ferguson had a nice game, 14 points. How about that? Christian Watson got a touchdown, his game back. Eli Moore had like a negative 20-yard run. I'm not sold on Nick's team, right? He's 1-3. He's definitely huge. One team had to win, and he certainly put up a point total deserving of the win. And oh, shit. I knew I was going to forget this. Damn it. I looked at it. I didn't put it on when I looked at it. There it is. So at least I got the trophy every time, right, and the flag. So, anyways, yeah. So good for Nick. Congrats on your first win of the year, Scamp. Moving on here, Kickers Lives Matter doesn't contribute. Craig, gets a bounce back game from him after a disappointing week last week as with only 90 points. And really the last couple weeks, right? I mean, he had 120 week 1 or 125, and then he followed that up with 82, 90. He's looking like F word, But this is a great game for him to bounce back, get to 500. Tough loss for Duncan, 129 to 112. Duncan, Mr. Consistent. I told you, he's Mr. Consistent. Just 112 again. You're gonna get a win, maybe 60, 70% of the time with 112, 70% of the time with 112, maybe. But 130 should deserving of a win every week. Kyron Williams, just one of the steals of the draft. I mean, it's nuts what he's been doing. I don't know why and how that couldn't be Cam Akers. Go away. I just don't know. I mean, this was supposed to be Cam Akers. This is why I took him, because this was the potential that Cam Akers had. And for some reason, they just chose Kyron Williams instead. The only explanation is that Cam Akers had sex with Coach McVay's wife, Sean McVay's wife. That's it. I mean, I have no other reasons. So, Josh Jacobs, great, 27 points. Purdy, he bench Fields, Justin Fields, and Fields finally has his best game of his season. Wide receiver room, not sexy there. Ayuk's return. Stop. Ayuk's return looked pretty good there, 20 points. DK got a tutty, not much to say. He's, okay, 8 points. It's kind of gone, pretty mid since week 1, his coming out party. So, yeah, I mean, good for Craig and Duncan. Pacheco's looking like he's taking back over control of that backfield there. Justin Jefferson's just a freak. I mean, his lowest point total is 24.9 points on the season. That's insane. I mean, he is the Minnesota offense. I mean, that's it. I mean, that is it. So imagine taking Jerry Jeudy in a startup draft over Justin Jefferson. Yikes. That's me. I did that. Still some things to work out at the quarterback room. Obviously, he had to pivot away from Deshaun with Deshaun being out. Threw in Danny Dimes. Did not work out well. Kittle, not a good game. He's really only had one good game so far this year. And another tough defense upcoming this week. But, doesn't play Najee. He's okay. Eckler should hopefully be back next week for him. He gets Eckler back. He gets Watson back. I mean, look, his QB1 was out. His RB1's been out. And for Duncan to still be 500, he's right in the mix, right? For him to keep putting up the point totals he's put up, despite not having his number one overall pick, it's very impressive. I'm very impressed. So, and then our final game here, Dirty Birds of War versus the Swamp Donkeys. Blaine looked like the bad man was back. I said the bad man was back, and Blaine said not so fast, my friend. Demolishes Connor, 168 to 124. Plunk's team still is legit. It is not a fraud. I mean, 124, great point total. Going to get you a win probably 80% of the time. Does hand Connor his first loss of the season at 3-1 now. Blaine, huge win for him to save himself from going 1-3 to get to 500. Really carried behind a monster game from Josh Allen. Kamara's return was huge. I mean, he had like 14 catches. I mean, just insane because Derek Carr, he was selfish. Let's call a spade, right? He was not a team player. The Saints got embarrassed by a not a good Bucs team, and because Derek Carr refused to let Jameis play, and knowing that he couldn't throw the ball accurately more than 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. And so it was dump off after dump off after dump off, and it is very reminiscent to me of whenever I played Blaine 3 or 4 years ago, and some bum backup running back on the Steelers caught, like 15 catches, just insane. So, but Gibbs, it's like I said, hashtag free Gibbs. It's tough. I mean, still a lot to be desired for Blaine's team in the running back department. But A.J. Brown, great game. Puka, great. Amon-Ra St. Brown, good. That trio there, it's nasty. It is nasty. I mean, we'll see with Cooper coming back maybe in the next couple weeks what that does to Puka. I think it's going to limit his ceiling. But at the same time, I mean, this offense made Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp 2 top 12 wide receivers at the same time. So it is definitely possible. It is definitely possible. But tight end, garbage. Musgraves stinks. Mike Evans dealing with that hammy again, as is tradition. So, but his bench, there's nothing to be excited about on Blaine's bench. So, and for Connor, Devon Achane looks like the real deal. I don't know how he can be kept off the field at this point. Going to fill in quite nicely for Zach Moss with JT coming back. James Cook, not a great game, but a touchdown. Lamar's looking like he is that guy again. Jamar's a little underwhelming. Keenan a little underwhelming. Michael Pittman, not great. But Higbee had a pretty solid game. London caught a touchdown. Again, the bench. I mean, you don't really want to start anybody on your bench, Connor. But that's the story for a lot of teams. So, yeah, I think Plunk's still legit. He is still a title contender with those guys when they're clicking. So, anyways, let's go ahead here. Obviously, break down the blockbuster trade that occurred between myself and Wet Willie. I've been flirting with him, flirting with Rip to try to get an injured or not playing stud running back. Felt like my team was missing that piece. James Conner's been good. He's, Madison's a low-end RB2, right? Conner's a low-end RB1. I was flirting, and almost made a deal just for JT and like Hopkins straight up, for my guys. And I was really trying to see if you would give me JT and Devontae. And I just asked. Sometimes you just got to ask, right? Make him say no. And of course, he said no, right? I mean, Devontae is my number one wide receiver. I can't just give him up. I understand that. Because I was like, hey, I don't want to give up Tyreek. I don't want to give up Cooper Kupp, right? And so, I said, Cooper Kupp, I took an assessment. I looked in the mirror. Cooper Kupp clearly doesn't want to play for me, okay? He's played, I think, one half, maybe not even, of football for my team since acquiring him last season from Rip. And so, you know what? That's fine. I get it. No hard feelings. Business is business. Let me throw him into the mix. What does that do for you, Wilson? And sure enough, we were able to come to terms. Jonathan Taylor, Devontae Adams for Cooper Kupp, James Conner, and Sam Laporta. Honestly, Laporta was the toughest one to give up for me because taking him, I think I got him in the last round, 14th round, for free. I mean, he could be the next guy. He could be the next Kelsey. He could be the next Mark Andrews. And could be kept for the next off the draft board for everybody for the next 3 cycles, But I don't want to play like that. I want to play to win. I want to win a fucking championship. All right? It's been a long time. And I've won this shit in between. And I want to wash that snake. It's not just enough not to win horse ass anymore. I've done that. It doesn't, I have no fear of that anymore, right? Granted, nobody in the league currently has ever won it twice, especially not back to back. But I'm not afraid of that. Okay, it might happen. That's fine. But you got to play to win, right? You got to play to win. If JT comes back and plays for the Colts, I mean, look at what Zach Moss did with the Colts, right? JT is a far better talent. Devontae Adams, you know what he is, right? He's a stud. He still allows me to keep 2 potentially top 5 guys at wide receiver, like I was planning on having with Tyreek and Cooper. And so I thought it was worth it. I still have an elite option at tight end with Hawkinson. And I think, Taylor's an upgrade from Conner if he plays, right? But that's the mystery. Who knows? He was estimated as a full practice today. It was a walkthrough, so nobody really practiced. He's not been officially activated off the PUP list. So I personally, I don't think he's going to play this week. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I think it helps both of us. I think it helps both of us out. I hope JT comes back and plays. I really do hope Cooper Kupp comes back and is a benefit to Wilson's team. So, anyway, some other activities that occurred. Michael Wilson, big spender, $26. A lot of guys in on him. Kickers Lives Matter for 21. Nick in for 20. JD in for 16. Shade in for 9. Other big, he opened up the checkbook. He said, watch this. My bench is shit. Watch this. I'm going to go get some new trash off the waiver wire. He also got Jaleel McLaughlin for 16 fab. JD was in on him for 3, so way overbid. Craig picks up Zach Ertz for 14. Nobody else, Duncan was in for Ertz with 4. Drops Pat Freiermuth, crazy, but I think he's on the IR, right? Or he's not on the IR, but he's expected to miss several weeks. Probably will be put on the IR, knowing how the Steelers like to react to hamstring injuries. Joshua Dobbs for $3 to Duncan. Duncan also picked up Cole Kmet, trying to revive his team. So, and then Suave Olave picks up Westbrook Akine for a fab. So, not sexy guys, dart throws. Maybe they hit, maybe they won't. Most of them probably won't. So, let's go ahead here, get into a preview of this week's matchups. We'll start off with, first off, let me figure out what's going to be the game of the week. Jeez. A lot of interesting totals. We'll do that one. Why not? Does he have him in there? He does. Ooh, interesting. Why not? I don't want to I told Savoy says, with our trade, we should be the game of the week. I get it. Savoy, I get it, but I don't want to put that bad juju on either one of us, right? The game of the week, 90% of the time, both teams are ass. And it's not a good game. It's either a blowout or both teams fail to break 100 points, right? And so I'm not doing that to us. I want this to be a good game. I want this to be a competitive game. I think it will be a competitive match. I'm currently projected to win 128 to 119. He's going to have old CJ Stroud in there against the dog shit Atlanta Falcons team. He does have some good matchups. Another Monday night guy. Golly, damn, dude, I hate that shit. I want some Monday night players. I don't. Oh, I do. Devontae Adams. Oh, great. So it'll be Aaron Jones versus Devontae Adams on Monday night. Probably might come down to that. AJ should be getting a little bit more. Aaron Jones should be getting some more work than he did on Thursday night. Where he's pretty much just a decoy. I like Savoy to have a good competitive game against me. Some good matchups for him for sure. He's got that stack going this week, the Stroud Collins stack, to combat my Tua Tyreek stack. And really, I'm unsure about the second running back. Javonte maybe won't play. Jonathan Taylor maybe won't play. If neither one of those guys play, I'm basically down to starting either Kenneth Gainwell or Cam Akers. So start both missing running backs. So not going to be a lot of production from the RB2 slot potentially for me this week. But I don't know. It's huge. It's huge. I mean, it's a huge game for me to go 2-3 versus 3-2. It's a huge swing. I mean, teams that go 2-3 make the playoffs 35% of the time. Teams that go 3-2 make the playoffs. That make the playoffs 50% of the time. So it's and for Savoy, teams that have gone 5-0, started the season 5-0, 100%. They have never missed the playoffs ever. Versus teams that have started 4-0, they've only missed the playoffs twice. So he's still in very good company. Definitely means more to him. I think this trade benefits me this week, helps me get closer to getting a win. So anyway, we'll go with myself in that one. I'll go with myself. Quickly going through here.
Yeah, baby.
So
yeah.
Next year, Razorback Revival versus Kickers Lives Matter, 121 to 117 with Nick favored to win. Buys are here already, week 5. I can't believe it. I don't know how buys go from week 5 all the way through to week 14. It seems a little bit strange to me. Like, really? So buys are happening. Chargers are on bye. Browns are on bye. Seattle's on bye. And one other team. I can't remember who. So some serious fantasy implications that people are having to deal with and work around. I'm gonna go with Duncan in this one. We're gonna go with Duncan. I like him. Next year we'll go Blaine and JD. Blaine, don't even have to think about it. JD's got to show me something more than 50 points and 75 points for me to pick him, right? So next year, Can You Feel the Love and the Father Figures. Forrest projected to win 104 to 102. If you go 0-5, it's never happened, right? It's never happened. It's possible. It's possible. You could win 7 in a row or 8, maybe to try to get in the playoffs, but you can't understand. I mean, Rip's got an uphill battle to get into the playoffs after starting 0-4. It's been done only one time in 12 years. I like Ford to stay hot, though. I like Ford to stay hot and put Rip at 0-5 and officially dead. Playoffs dead. Next year we got Doesn't Contribute versus Shade Dynasty. Craig's projected to win this one 118 to 103. Deshae does not have a quarterback in there at the moment. He will throw in Dak Prescott against the 49ers. I'm sure that's going to work out very, very well. Dak's he's been solid. It's not great. He's not killed you except for week 1 whenever the team they didn't even need him to do anything. So he throws him in there. That's 19 points, 20 points. So he'll be projected to win about 120-ish to 118. Should be a competitive game. It's interesting. I just like the names on D-Shade's roster a little bit more, so we'll go with D-Shade in that one. And then that brings us to our game of the week. Can I use this?
What? Yeah.
Go ahead. Our AM RX bar game of the week. AM RX bar's got 10 grams. It's a protein bar. The ingredients, I think, are just right here, spelled out for you. 3 tablespoons of oats, 14 peanuts, 2 egg whites, and 2 teaspoons of honey. No BS there, right? So it's the honey cinnamon peanut butter game of the week, or bar flavor, rather. Oh, there's the German, yeah. Looks like it's got a little bit more ingredients than that on the back. It is made in Chicago, Illinois. 230 grams or calories. It's got some added sugar. Wow, a lot of added sugars, actually. Wow. So it sounds like there actually is a lot of BS in here. But nonetheless, AMRX bar, protein bar, official protein bar of the Bring That Wood Fantasy Football League. Cheers. No, try to keep this under 50 minutes. So, tastes pretty good. Probably the added sugar. Oh, he does. Good. All right, so it's the Dirty Birds of War versus the W's Cataclysmic Catches. Wilson is projected to win this one, 121 to 114. Battle of the quarterback. You got Lamar Jackson versus Patrick Mahomes. It should be tough. I mean, the Steelers, they just stink. They're looking like one of the worst teams in the NFL. And you know, the Vikings don't look much better, right? The Vikings don't look much better. They were very, very close to being 0-4, just like the old Ripster, right? Ultimately, though, I think we're going to have to go with Mahomes in that one. Battle of the running backs. You got James Cook. The battling from going across the pond there for the Buffalo Bills, playing, I think, in Wembley Stadium yet again. To have a nice evening, a nice morning there, 8:30 a.m. So make sure you put a lot of sugar in your tea to wake yourself up. Drink it like the Americans, the dirty Americans do it, you know. I cannot find that accent. Gosh, leave me. Anyway, James Cook, Devon A-Chain versus DeAndre Swift and James Conner. I swear I used to be able to do it halfway decent. I don't know if living further in the South has just degraded, you know, my speaking quality that much to where I can't speak that proper British English. The British are coming. You know, I promise you, whenever we play in Germany, NFL plays in Germany, then it'll be better, right? And the blonde hair, blue eyes, it's in my blood, right? So, golly, that's just disappointing to me that I can't get the Queen's English. They're the king now, yeah. Long live the king, right? So, cheerio, chip, chip, cheerio. I can do little words like that, but I just can't get into whatever. Anyway, James Cook, Devon A-Chain versus DeAndre Swift and the newly acquired James Conner. Tough defense there for Conner, I think, with the Bengals. We'll see if A-Chain is really legit. Can he do it? Not in blowouts, right? It was a favorable blowout for the Dolphins 2 weeks ago. It was a blowout against them. You know, allowed Devon to get a lot of work. A-Chan, not A-Chain, A-Chan. 4chan, probably. So he did get 4 touchdowns, right? That should have been his name. 4chan, Devon 4chan. Yeah. So, anyways, I don't know. This is a tough one. I'm going to push this one. I can't make a decision. Swift has hurt me too many times. But he has been good. Battle of the wide receivers. Of course, no Keenan Allen for Connor this week. He's got Jamar Chase, Drake London, and Michael Pittman versus Cooper Kupp. Maybe. Adam Thielen and DeAndre Hopkins. Tennessee's a pass funnel defense. Jamar should have a great game, bounce back game against the Cardinals. So we'll go with Plunk in that one. I just don't know that Kupp is going to play this week. And if he doesn't play, then he's probably going to have to play Kendrick Bourne or Kadarius Toney. So battle of the tight end, you got Evan Ingram versus Tyler Higbee. We'll go Ingram until he proves otherwise. And then battle of the flex, you got Michael Wilson versus Sam Laporta. Should be pretty even. Michael Wilson's been solid, man. I mean, he's 8.6, 10.6. He had 2 touchdowns last week. Granted, a lot of that was garbage time, I think, trying to play catch up against the Niners. But I'll go with my guy Sammy. We'll go with Sam Laporta in that one. Ultimately, I think a little fortunate catching Plunk without Keenan Allen this week, and I'm going to go with Wilson in this one. I'm going to go with Wilson, put Plunk on a 2-game losing streak, and I'd love to see it. So, anyway, that's all I got this week, fellas. Hogs are playing at Ole Miss. Always a weird game with them. You never know, but I think the home team's won the last 4 meetings. So, yeah, Ole Miss in a rout. So, anyway, this team sucks. Y'all stay safe out there. Good luck this week. And as always, we pick.